Welcome to Local Football Flavor, everybody out there. We're finally in the playoffs, and how great is this? So, obviously, for DFS, we got a little bit more of a limited window. Only 6 games that are going to be fun and fantastic. But let's go out there, pick some winners for everyone, and make some greatness happen.
Welcome to Local Football Flavor, where we talk to local fans to get the real information of what's going on with their team.
So, welcome, Bob. How's it going, man?
I found this really good beer the other day when we were watching the national title game.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Shiner Holiday Cheer.
Okay.
And it's brewed with peaches and pecans.
Ooh.
So
I saw you drinking it, and I was a little beer envious as I was chugging down my Bud Lights. Not gonna lie.
It's like very fruity to start with, and it's very like you can really taste the peaches, which is like weird, but I'm there for it. I'm okay with it.
All right, well, as long as you're happy, that's what matters, right? And here we are with my big ass water for anyone who ever sees me drink it.
Go
on camera. So that being said, Bob, let's go out and pick out some winners today. I'm really excited for this week. I think a lot of good things are going to be happening, and let's dive into them, my man.
Yeah. So I think if you're this is going to be quite difficult because, like you said in the intro, there's only 6 games, and the best players available here are, obviously the best players for a lot of good reasons. One guy that I want you to go to quarterback first. I like how we did this last week. The guy I'm interested in for the price is Daniel Jones. At 7,400, Daniel Jones provides you with an opportunity to get both rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns against a very beatable Minnesota defense. And I believe this game is going to be tight. It's going to be close. I don't believe he had his best performance against Minnesota the last time they met. You can click on it to see. But because all of these teams have already met before, we do have like a really good.
Put 21 on them.
So I personally am all about Daniel Jones this week. I might be a little bit blind in that respect that I'm going kind of all in on Daniel Jones, especially just.
It's hard to fight it. He's thrown for over 300 yards twice, and one of them happened to be against the Vikings. Yeah. So hard to fight the argument.
Our friend does a whole playoff league, so if I'm in a league where like I have to pick a first round guy, and if they lose, I lose that position. I'm probably not taking Daniel Jones. I don't
think I'm touching this game.
I'm probably going to take Josh Allen, but at that price, Josh Allen is just too expensive.
It's going to be hard because once we get to the lineup, there is no real lower class of receivers that we normally go to bank for the caveat that we spend too much on quarterback. So why don't we actually just load up on our cash early like we always do, flip over to defense, and look to see what we're getting here. So starting in cheap world, I see the Dolphins absolutely getting destroyed. I think Seattle.
Cheap world, the Ravens are my bet. So
I think so too.
At 3,600, the Ravens defense has been good enough against the Bengals, even when the Bengals have been healthy, to hold them to a couple touchdowns here, a couple touchdowns there. They did not do well against them the last time they played. But however,
2 sacks. It felt like they had more though.
Defense.
It really did.
Defenses in these fantasy DFS, unless they score a touchdown, it really doesn't matter. You can see that on average, if you go up to the very best defense this week,
here we'll just do for the last 3 games.
Yeah,
is anyone average anything? The Bengals.
If the
Chargers
to Buffalo has is averaging 9 points
across the last 3 games.
One of those was because of New England. They just totally obliterated New England. Now,
2 pick sixes will do that.
Are they going to do that against Miami? Probably. But you can't spend $5K on that. You just can't do it this week.
No, you can't. The question is when we look at the Chargers,
but the Chargers are playing a team that we think are going to put up points. So really,
and I think Jacksonville wins that game. So even though I think Baltimore will lose the game, I do think they're going to get some sacks. And really, this whole thing is the whole defensive position is carried by sacks and turnovers.
Curious, how are they averaging 11 points? Can you click on them, the Chargers?
That's why I wanted to check out there.
Yeah.
So the Chargers had 7. Oh, they played the Colts. I mean, long story short, they played the Colts.
Yeah, that doesn't mean
that's not really that. That doesn't recount. Okay, timeout. Forget about the Chargers. They're going to come off the board here. The sneaky one that I would push against, I don't even know if it's really sneaky, is the Cowboys. I see Brady not playing well. I see the Cowboys sacking him a lot. And I'm only saying this because it's $700. But I'm also cool with the Ravens of trying to maximize the cash as this gets a little hinky a little bit later on. So you want to go to backs or receivers?
I like to go to tight end.
All right.
So the tight end I have to buy. The tight end you want. There's all of these tight ends have produced over the season. So there's a lot of, and if you even go down to like where Daniel Bellinger would be at, they've all had production. They've all, had some touchdowns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to look at this for a couple different reasons. To know how much George Kittle costs, because George Kittle has been absolute monster.
He has been.
Over the last 6 weeks. If you click on him, ever since the emergence of Brock Purdy, and you can see it in his stats, I mean, crushing it.
He's torn it up. I mean, really since that Seattle game the first time where he put up 23.
Right.
Which obviously that's who he's playing this week.
Now, Seattle is going to make an adjustment for him. They're going to try to keep him out of the game, but he is just he's very, very reliable in the red zone. And what I'm seeing here is that, okay, yes, he can put up 3 points, but this is the guy that Brock Purdy looks to when they get to the red zone.
Mm-hmm. You get 7 touchdowns in 4 games. It's going to work out,
This is the Jerick McKinnon phenomenon, right? Where this is the person that Patrick Mahomes looked to. This is the person that Brock Purdy's looking to. He's a dog. Another guy that I would if I can't afford George Kittle this week, I would look at Gerald Everett.
I agree with that.
I would also look at Evan Ingram. Those two guys are also dogs where their respective quarterbacks look.
Ingram's another guy who's been tearing it up a little bit. Correction, he's been cold off, but he did tear it off before he cold. And
but
the problem with this game is they played each other so long ago. It's hard to take evidence from week 3.
This is what I'm looking at, though, is that I'm looking at targets 4 for 4 that last week, 3 for 1 against Houston. They didn't really need that much, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm also looking at those games, 15 targets, 10 targets, 8
But
targets,
you get that, you're on fire.
Right? So
the Joneses were basically off those 2 weeks. Not that they weren't playing, they were just covered. And that was the difference that really came up. So Everett certainly has the ability to step up and ball. I mean, there's no fighting that. But the thing that I like to point out here is when Tennessee had a second chance to revisit them, they went from letting up 33, his obviously season high, to essentially taking him out of the game. So
that's what I'm worried about, George Kittle. But I think George Kittle has the upside that even if they do try to take him out of the game yardage-wise, like his yards say for the last 2 weeks, that they're going to get into the red zone. And if they get into the red zone, he's the target. So
he is. He in some ways, he's on the verge of becoming Gronk, where he's just getting the red zone touchdowns, and that's it. You also might not want to sleep on the Hawk either.
No, I'm not sleeping on the Hawk either. But out of the two,
I would go. I get you. I'm either going Everett or Kittle myself. Yeah. It's just $2,100. So Bob, now you're in a spot where you're going to average out 68 the rest of the way. So might get a little challenging. Might not be. Let's see who you got here.
So all right. So there's a lot of players here that interest me,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the guys that I'm super interested in, because he did not play Seattle the first time around, I believe, or the second time around, is Elijah Mitchell. At his cost, he is at a point where, and you can see when they
He hasn't
started,
played Seattle at all. I mean, he hasn't played very much at all.
right? So when in the last game he played, and when he played like the whole game, right? Because I guess, against Arizona, it is what it is.
He only had 5 carries, yeah.
But I'm just curious. I'm interested in him. I'm not saying I'm ready to put him in the lineup, but at his price point this week, he definitely provides startable talent. It just depends
That's for sure.
It just depends on what's happening in that game. If McCaffrey ends up going down, Elijah Mitchell will come in and they will still do well.
Yes.
They won't do as well as what they did with Christian McCaffrey, but they will do well. I'm interested in him. All right,
11 yards of carry is insane. I mean, they're going to get him the rock in some capacity, but
what does he do with it? That's the question.
You're also very limited on volume, because who's not giving the ball to McCaffrey? So that's the thing.
So here's the other thing too. Is I'm interested in Jeff Wilson at the price.
I agree with that one much more.
But I feel that, like we said in our show this week, in order to get the ball down the field, they are going to have to give the ball to Jeff Wilson. Mm-hmm. Now, Jeff Wilson is going to get the ball, I believe, regardless whether they're down or whether they are up. Now,
yeah, with the fact Mostert's out helps him a lot.
Now, the problem is 70 yards and 8 points means nothing. He has to get in the end zone.
Yes.
And I don't think he has the break. I don't feel that Buffalo is going to let him in.
Yeah, so he didn't play the last game against Buffalo, and he wasn't on the team the first time they played each other.
And if you just go to Mostert's stats, those games.
Yeah, you go to Mostert. They're obviously Mostert's out this
player.
one.
They're the same.
Yeah, they're similar. Mostert put up the
136 yards the last time.
And then another 20 in the air.
And then the first time they were there, he wasn't playing.
Nothing.
He wasn't the starter, I believe. So
yeah,
I would feel good about Jeff Wilson, regardless of who's playing at quarterback for them. Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater brings something different to the team than Skylar Thompson brings.
Mm-hmm.
But at the price point of $6,000, I think you can't avoid Jeff Wilson this week.
It's hard. You look around the rest of this area. Can you like not hate the Drake? It's very hard. Madison only did great because Cook sat.
I think the only other startable person from that 6,000, so from the 6,000 and below group there, is, so people are going to look at Rashard White, people are going to look at Elijah Mitchell, and people are going to look at Samaje Perine, because Samaje Perine actually sometimes gets the ball when Joe Mixon is feeling.
He was great when Mixon was out. But
the two running backs from Baltimore, you do not know what that situation is, and it's too up in the air for you to pick any of those Baltimore players.
You can make an argument, though, that with Lamar out, Drake is their most offensive weapon.
I disagree, because the last time we picked the Drake, it went to Gus Edwards.
It never is good having the Drake. I'm saying that's how bad of a spot Baltimore's in.
It's
if Baltimore doesn't pick every single pick as a skill player on offense, they are just killing themselves.
Yeah,
that's a side story. There'll be draft comment. We'll bring that up later. But
I'm willing to take a chance on Jeff Wilson at 6. So go to wide receivers for a moment. I want to get at least one before I pick the other running back, decide where we're going with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think honestly that all Miami wide receivers are off the table.
I think they have to be.
And it's hard. It's hard not to take playoff Mike Evans.
It is.
It's hard to take playoff Jamar Chase.
Well, Chase is hard to afford. Evans for
It's
1,000
hard
less,
to
I think it's a
afford.
value.
But Mike Evans, if they're gonna stay in that game, that ball is going to Mike Evans, and it is not going to stop going to Mike Evans because that is Tom Brady's favorite target, because he knows that he's reliable. Chris Godwin is a very good player. Chris Godwin gets a lot of yards, but Mike Evans seems to be his touchdown guy, and you can.
Well, at the end of the day, Chris Godwin cannot destroy a game. Mike Evans can, and everyone knows that. And for a difference of $500, give me the game destroyer.
Now, DK Metcalf, I don't know if he's been hurt. What's been happening with DK Metcalf?
Dude, so first off, the Geno implosion is hitting him hard.
Okay, so these stats,
he's getting targets. It's not working.
I'm nervous. So in the last game they played against San Francisco, he had 7 receptions, but he didn't do anything with it. But when he goes off, he goes off big, and I'd hate to miss out on that, with a little bit of FOMO there, because the price is decent. But I'm not willing to take that plunge on DK Metcalf. I'd consider
You also really can't afford it.
I could. But let's go down a little bit more. Now, Deebo Samuel is another wild card. Who even knows if he's playing? We don't know if he's playing. But the guy I'm really looking at belongs on the New York Football Giants. And like I said, I'm going big into New York Football Giants. It's Richie James Jr. And you can sort him. The last 3 games, he's averaging 12 points a game. Now, that's probably a 6, a 4, and maybe like a 14 or something weird like that.
It's a 17, 13, and 6. So, and then the week before it was a 15. So you look at it, getting a ton of targets, 11, 7, tons of targets. He got shut down against Washington, which, by the way, Washington, horrible pass defense beginning of the year, really got it together as the season went on.
Yeah, they
deserves a lot of credit for that.
Good.
Yeah. But if you look at, basically, he got inserted as a starter the game against Detroit on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, and you can see he's getting the yards.
Since then, his targets have just been consistent in there.
Yeah.
And for 6,100, either him or Tom either him or Isaiah is good.
And I can be definitively incorrect about this, but the one thing I feel that Minnesota can't do is button up. I really don't think that the coaching staff of the Vikings knows how to adjust to things. And that's kind of what I'm banking on here with the Giants, is that, they saw them once. What's going to happen? But the Minnesota defense, I mean, if you just go to defense for a minute, and click on Minnesota, so we can just see, you just passed them.
Right there. They were much higher than I thought they would have been.
So if we just look at how many points they've given up every single game.
With the exception of last week against the helpless Chicago Bears. So you take that game out, not a single game less than 21. And that was against the Jets. I mean, who?
And the last time that happened was against Washington, when they gave up 17 points or something like that.
Yeah, you got to. So timeline-wise, that's all the way back before Thanksgiving. That's the first week of November. So just
they let New England put up 26. They let the Jets put up 22. They let Detroit put up 34. They let the Colts. Now the Colts scored on defense, but
that's not counting the Colts defensive points.
24, and then you
because the Colts put up 31 in that game.
I'm telling you, this Minnesota team is the team that, knock on all the wood that you want, is the team that I have as the team that is, went in. We talked about this when they played Buffalo, right? Where they were the team that has the most close wins. And typically speaking, you kind of are on the, do you want to bet on the team that wins close, or do you want to bet on the team that goes for the gusto and blows the team out? I don't want to bet on the Vikings for anything. I don't.
No, I get where you're at there. I mean, I personally like the Vikings, but what the Vikings did here is they sat in a horrible division, which no one really is prepared to call the NFC North a horrible division, but it was. I mean, Chicago got the first pick for a reason. Yeah, Detroit beat Green Bay, but both of those two were fondling for 500. They did what you should do as an above average team against a very weak schedule. They dominated it.
But
Good for them. But that doesn't mean they can beat good teams.
On a
They
game by
beat
game basis,
Buffalo. That's their only win.
On a game by game basis, they had a challenge to beat good teams. They had they had to outscore good teams, which takes me to my next pick, Mr. Justin Jefferson.
Hard to fight, JJ.
In a game where Justin Jefferson. Now, if you go to the game they played the Giants last time, with all the Giants' talent that they might have on defense,
puts up 25, man.
They could not stop Justin Jefferson. Now
they can't.
He slowed down in that game against Green Bay, slowed down in that game against Chicago. But if you look at the game,
well, he didn't play the game. He didn't play the second half.
But if you look at a game where he did bad the week before, you look at the next game.
The Chicago game, or the Detroit game, he only puts up 45 yards. Next game, he puts up 27 points.
He adjusted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's not adjusting against bad defenses. He's adjusting against pretty decent defenses, if you might. Like, New England has a pretty decent defense. Buffalo had a pretty decent defense. The Jets' defense was pretty good.
So Buffalo has the third best pass defense. He nearly put up 200 again.
Indy was pretty decent. So
you look at all of his big games against the marquee games that he had, he has exploded. I expect him to do the exact same thing here today.
If the Vikings are going to win that game, he goes off. And hedging the bet, I think you got to take him. I think you can't not take him.
It's hard to fight it. The problem is now you're down to 62 on a second running back.
That's okay. Okay. So,
dude, I hate the Drake.
We're down here at this level. And here's the issue. And this is a big one. This is the biggest issue of the whole first round of the playoffs here. If Seattle is going to compete, the ball is going to Kenneth Walker.
There's no doubt about that.
And it is the first-rated rushing defense, and the Niners are good. And you can look at the last time he played the Niners. What happened?
When he played the Niners,
basically nothing.
Well, he put up, 70 total yards. It's still decent.
But he got the ball 17 times, right? Now with DJ Dallas is going to take those receptions against them. However, if they want to win that game, that ball goes to Kenneth Walker.
It goes to him a lot.
And it will go to him a lot because this will be it should be a very low scoring game for all intents and purposes. If it is not, then they're going to have to get back in the game. And Kenneth Walker is staying on the field and getting those targets along with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And at the price point, he's priced just right to fit him in because, like I said, FanDuel has no idea about a couple of games, and this is one of them. They're putting all their marbles on San Francisco to outscore. And if you look at wide receiver, you'll probably see it in Brandon Ayuk's price.
Oh, Ayuk looks a little too heavy when we went into it before. So Ayuk was 67. Okay.
So he's 67,
almost the same price.
Right? And so, you're looking at these guys and you're just like, okay, what's going to happen in that game? We don't really know, but we do know, or we do have we're pretty confident that the Niners are going to win that game. Right? We're fairly confident that the Niners are going to win that game. Now
your flex is ugly. You almost have to.
This is the rub. So this is the rub. And this is the thing that, you can. This is why I wanted to take Daniel Jones first, because I wanted to see if he worked. I like what Daniel Jones gives to me. I like that his opportunity gives to me.
Mm-hmm.
But
To me, if I'm
Okay.
looking at this list and we're committing to what we have so far, we're not going to change it up. We have 59 left.
If I'm committing to what I
I
have
got to go with one of those tight ends. Like James
Exactly.
Cook, 0. Slayton and Carter don't even get on the field. At least I know with Ingram and Knox and Everett as well,
So
there's a chance they fall in the end zone.
here's the thing, Joe. Here's the thing. Here's what you can do. Now, I love George Kittle, like I said. He is getting the ball in the red zone. The ball is going to go to him regardless. But if you take him out and you plug in, let's say, Everett into the flex.
Or into the tight end slot.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. You are now playing with that money, and you have now opened the door to yourself.
I would argue still keep Kittle.
To a couple of other options. I'm just saying. But the double tight end this week is actually, I think, a fairly good option with Kittle and Ingram, or Kittle and Everett. You can talk yourself into another player if you don't like Kenneth Walker.
I mean, you can talk me into Cook or Mixon. But I like the Kittle player.
Click on Delvin Cook, see what he did against the Giants. But I really do think that's a Justin Jefferson game.
I do too. Giants, he only put up 9 points.
Yeah, I really think that's a Justin Jefferson game. So I'm okay with doing Ingram and Kittle. I'm okay with doing Kittle and Schultz. I'm okay with doing anything that has to do with that. But the other reason that I'm mentioning Daniel Jones in here, if you're looking for extra money, is if you eliminate Daniel Jones and you look at that game between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you say to yourself, okay, go down, because this is where Dak is and this is where Tom Brady is. Okay? You look at this, or even Brock Purdy, as a matter of fact, to be honest with you.
Or Geno.
You're looking at this price and you're saying, okay, all right, Dak is 73. That gives me an extra hundo. But Tom Brady, has never, I believe the statistic said, lost to the Dallas Cowboys. And Mr. Tom
Is that real?
You can look it up. But Mr. Tom Brady, if Mike Evans is going off, Tom Brady's going off.
I'm going through his season because Tom Brady is like this. We look at his biggest games and division games. Kansas City, 25. Atlanta, 19. Fast forward here, big one against Baltimore, 17. When he doesn't need to show up, he hasn't. However, Saints, 17. The Niner game might be the sole exception to this, by the way. Division game to win it all, 37. Cincinnati in prime time, 18.
Tom Brady
I think he's going to give you a floor of 18.
Tom Brady has never, ever lost to the Cowboys. He is 7-0.
Bob, as much as I'm about to hate myself for doing this, you might have talked me into building a lineup starting around Tom Brady. So let's go to
keep the Daniel Jones lineup because I love it.
Oh, we are. No, that's official. That's on that tab. We're going to tab number 2.
But
lineup number 2. And Bob, I'm sticking with that argument you just said. Brady shows up in big games. I love the
even if you think he's going to lose, he can still put.
Even if he's going to lose, he's doing that combination of chucking the ball to Evans till the cows come home.
Now,
and I like that stack a lot.
The last time we took Tom Brady in DFS, they played the Steelers, and we were definitively wrong about that. But
yeah, because it wasn't a big game to him. Brady in the playoffs doesn't get bigger. There are 2 games this playoff wildcard weekend that I have no idea what's happening. Dallas is one of them, and the other one is the Minnesota Giants game. The other 4, I am fairly confident, and my bets will show that, about what's going to go down. The Niners are going to win I don't think they're going to cover, but they're going to win because Seattle will keep it close. Jacksonville will win. Buffalo will destroy, and Cincinnati will win. I'm
Okay.
confident in those 4 outcomes. But this Dallas game, the only thing I'm confident in is points. I
Mhm.
think both of the 2 defenses implode, and given the fact that Brady has a very good chance of being the star of the weekend, um, they have to throw. I mean, that's the other part is Tampa doesn't even try to run anymore. Fournette is a useless option.
Right.
So going to that, give me Evans and let's see what happens. I'm all for that. So
Exactly.
um, I'm gonna try to probably build something crazy, stupid, and go from there. And make this expensive hard fight later. As I just said, I'm on the Cincinnati in Buffalo bus. I think both of them are going to roll. Um, I want to start with Mixon
That's fair.
here because Mixon's going to control the game, in my opinion, because the way that Baltimore had that pass rush coming at Burrow, they're
Mhm.
going to counter it by pushing back, and Mixon is the fight back.
Fair enough.
So I'm big on Mixon this week. The problem is now we're at 62. So let me throw out some defenses and tight ends to get back in this. Who can make turnovers? Who do I think is going to mess up and create turnovers? Well, I think Cincinnati might. Um, this is hard for me. There's not a defense really this week that I think is going to be in a low scoring game.
Yeah.
The only one I think that has a chance is Baltimore doesn't score or Miami doesn't score.
Okay.
So with that being said, though, I don't want to spend that kind of money.
That's fair
The
enough,
whole
right?
point is here is we need to get cheap, and I think I'm literally just punting on the defense as hard as I can, and I'm just hoping that Brock Purdy messes up or something, and we get a sacks. But I cannot justify taking Miami. I can't do that.
I don't think you can. I don't think anybody can.
But there's a chance that San Francisco Seattle ends up becoming a brawl where they're just running it so much no one has time to score a lot. Um,
That could very well happen. Yeah.
so I'm going with Seattle, and this is mostly a save money play because let's make no doubt we know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to make something crazy awesome. I love Kittle for all the reasons you said before. This particular week, since we're essentially streaming touchdown stealers, I mean that's what we're looking at. Who's going to have a chance to steal some action that shouldn't? I really like Everett this week with Mike Williams out. Josh Palmer is essentially missing in action. Their offense is either Allen, who also left the week last week, Eckler, and Everett. Anytime I'm getting the realistic third touchdown option on a team for under 6,000, I feel like I have to take that. So, hence the Everett selection right there. And that gives me back in the realm of 7,100 on pop. Now we can start talking about some fun stuff.
Now,
I'm going to go for my cheap one here and hope the rest of it works out because I'm like you. And I think that the fact that the Giants are going to be in a high scoring game, both of their receivers are dirt cheap. And it's just which one do I want to fall in love with? Um, I like the fact that Richie
it's
James
hard not to
has more
fall in love with
targets.
either of them.
I know, but I'm going to pick Richard James, and the reason is his target volume is just so much higher than Hodgins. Hodgins getting loved down in the tight end. It's almost like he's taking Bellinger's role in terms of taking those tight end roles. And if you look at his numbers, they're very similar to what Bellinger was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather go with James because he's more of the true. He can give me some yardage. He can blow some stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a trap here at 61 that we both stepped in, but also as the second cheapest skill player on the field, I'm okay with that. So that gives.
I think it's only a trap if other players on other teams score a bunch, because I mean, at the cost, it allows you to put another big dog in your lineup if you want to.
And as much as I have hated on this guy, and it is 100% warranted, he is a sheep in wolves closing. He puts up fantasy numbers. Tyler Lockett catches the ball. He just doesn't get you a first down. but he's going to rack up the catches. He's going to have 100 yards. I know that San Francisco always shuts people down and all of that fun stuff, but Lockett's the only one catching the ball right now. Metcalf has disappeared. Yeah.
Can you click on him? I'm curious what he did against San Francisco the last time around.
So
8 yards. That's not bad.
Yeah. At the end of the day.
What about the first time they played?
That would have been week 1. I don't know how much we can go off of that, or week 2 rather.
Well,
but even in week 2, he put up he had 11 targets. So I think ultimately he's going to be the one who brings it home, and he's fairly predictable that he's going to get you a touchdown. Over half of his games he's played, he's giving you one. So I'm just going to stick with that. Again, I don't love him as a real life player, but I like him as a fantasy guy.
He's mostly got 4 points. 40 yards.
Mm-hmm. So I got 76 left for the back here, between the back and the flex. This gets me a chance to kind of go super crazy. If I'm trying to play it straight and trying to balance it out, I'm probably going ETN here.
If you're going stupid, though, you're taking Christian McCaffrey.
Well, I'm going stupid, Bob. And now we're just going to try to see if we can catch something.
Oh, lordy.
Dude, we got to line up with McCaffrey in this. And it's going to be hard for other people to build a lineup that's going to be suitable with McCaffrey. Here's obviously the trade-off.
You're looking at the Drake.
I don't want the Drake. I don't want the Drake at all. Julio Jones is the worst fantasy selection I've ever made in my life. I'm admitting that right now. All right, at least I know Hurst is on the field.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you. All right.
How much do I actually have? 54.
Click on Jalen Naylor for a moment. Minnesota wide receiver.
Oh, okay. Is he a rookie or something?
I don't know, but he did catch that touchdown in that Packers game. We watched that live. And I said, who is that guy? Now, I don't know if it's going to happen again.
Yeah, I don't want to take a fifth option because there was a guy down here that stood out to me.
It is a fifth option.
The second option on his team, and he's really underpriced. I've been targeting Isaiah Likely a lot this year. I like what he brings to the table. The problem is there are games he can completely and utterly disappear, but there are also games where he can give you a decent floor. So
you just is Mark Andrews healthy playing? That's the question.
Well, my point is he put up 100 yards against Cincinnati last week.
Yeah, but what did Mark Andrews do? That's the better question.
Well, let's go to Mark Andrews here. Mark Andrews also put up 100 yards.
He was inactive. Mark Andrews was inactive last week.
Oh, sorry, he didn't play. He put up 100 yards against Pittsburgh. He didn't play at all against Cincinnati. So, I mean, that's the thing is it likely took those yards.
Okay, I want to paint the picture for you for a moment. Can you click on plays for all teams and put on Baltimore and go to the flex position for Baltimore? Because I think you're going to find the cheapest players available to you from Baltimore.
Well, that's a fact. I don't want to take a backup running back in Baltimore because Dobbins is the one who's getting the run. Yeah, I think that the answer is McCaffrey's just too hard. I got to settle for taking Saquon Barkley.
I actually think Christian McCaffrey isn't your bugaboo in this lineup.
Who do you think it is?
Is Joe Mixon. If you come down on Joe Mixon a little bit.
All right, let's take Mixon out. I do like ETN.
I mean, I don't want to talk you out of Joe Mixon. That's the thing. I don't want to talk you out of Joe Mixon.
Yeah, but you're right. There's in my mind, there's not a giant difference between what Mixon's going to do and what ETN's going to do. Both of them.
They could very well have a big difference come game time, but
they do. But we've been saying this all year. Chargers don't stop the run. And if I'm getting an extra 600 points out of this, that I can now make a decent lineup. Like, all right, 6,200. We should be able to play with something decent here.
Well, if you really want, if you really wanted to be stupid, if you really wanted to be stupid,
I can throw Gabe Davis in there.
And you really didn't care about your flex because that flex might score like 4 points. If you really wanted to be stupid, take Travis Etienne out and just put Saquon Barkley in and just throw away your flex. I don't agree.
I don't think we've ever done this before.
But, I mean...
All right. We have never done anything like this before. So there's Saquon. We have 4,500.
Just throw it away.
See, there's even a guy who... All right, we could get someone.
Yeah, just throw it away.
All right. Well, we're going to see if there's anyone...
Let me break it down for you. Do you realistically think, and this is the question that you have to ask yourself. We've never done this before, and we've always taken a guy that like maybe will get like 4 points. Do you realistically think that, and this is the question, will Saquon Barkley outscore a combination of X and Y player? That's your question. Will Justin Jefferson outscore the combination of X and Y player? Because you need to ask yourself that question too. If you take Saquon out and you put in the flex and you put in Justin Jefferson, like you probably want to do, will Justin Jefferson outscore the combination of whatever combination you can put for 1,300 or for 13,000? We've never done it before.
We have never done this, and that's why I'm interested in scraping this bottom here, Bob.
Because the lowest value player you can go at, I believe, is 4,500 or 4,000.
It's 4,000. Yeah.
Okay. So all of these guys basically score no points.
Yeah, no, I seriously hard to find someone that did. That would even be worth looking at.
But that's where the question lies in. Do you feel that do you feel like Isaiah Likely is realistically, like Isaiah Likely and Joe Mixon are realistically a better combination
than Saquon by himself?
Or than Justin Jefferson by himself? Because you are $200 away from Justin Jefferson, I believe.
Wait, what? No.
If you take Saquon out, you are $200 away from Justin Jefferson.
As my flex.
As your flex. Yes or no?
We're going to find this out.
Now, I'm not saying this is a good strategy. I'm just saying it's another option.
And then we just take any garbage back we can find, which there is no running back that low. The lowest running back is 45. And the one I probably would have gone with is Henderson.
So there's no 43. That's unfortunate.
All right, so we're going to take Jefferson out. We're going to put Henderson in. It's just easier to find through Jacksonville.
I mean, Henderson could get some play if Jeff Wilson goes down.
Henderson's an actual NFL player.
He could get some play if he goes down. Right? Is he so like? Can you go to him for a minute? Did he play in the last game at all?
Henderson has not hit the field since November 20th.
Is he even on the Jacksonville Jaguars anymore? No. He's not even on the team anymore, dog.
All right, take that off. That was a very good catch there, Bob.
He ain't gonna do anything. Go to the backup Miami Dolphins running back, actually.
All right, so Dolphins.
If you want to find something weird.
Dolphins running backs.
Okay. You know Mostert's out. Salvon Ahmed is the next up, basically.
It's not White?
Zaquandre? I don't even know who that is.
All right, so he's had a grand total of 6 carries in 1 game. You know, maybe the answer is
you can
maybe
put
the answer
Listen, you can put Salvon Ahmed in, and you could probably still fit in Joe Mixon. If that's what you really want to do.
Well,
Because I can tell you Isaiah Likely is likely not to score or do anything.
I get that.
You can put Joe Mixon
You know,
back
Bob,
in this lineup.
we're going back to, you know what? Who do we honestly think's put up more points this week? Of the studs, we're just flat out punting on a position, and we're not going to fill it in.
I'm going to tell you, probably Stephon Diggs, probably Justin Jefferson.
Which one are you more confident you only get one pick?
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. Okay. That being said, we have 4,300 left. Since we are playing this system, we cannot leave money on the table. We're
But
putting
no,
Kittle in.
okay, hold on.
We're going for broke, dude.
Hold
Putting
on.
Kittle in.
Okay. Hold on.
If we're doing this, let's do it.
Okay. I mean, this is uncharted territory.
This is completely uncharted. First of all, we also just take out Lockett and put out one of the other major studs in. Once we're accepting we're not playing a position, upgrade them all. And now we can put in Chase or Diggs. I think Diggs is going to do better.
Put in Diggs. All right.
I mean, we could upgrade the defense, although I think it's irrelevant.
No, you got to downgrade the defense to the Dolphins. But I think the Dolphins are going to get you negative points.
Yeah, I think Seattle at the second lowest is fine.
Okay. But you said
we will not be able to afford a 4,300 defense is better than a $4,300 running back. The $4,300 defense, I don't like any of these price points. Like I don't like Tampa, Minnesota, or Dallas.
You can't afford it. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want it. So I'm saying it's like, I mean, if we sold out to upgrade at that slot, we would. I actually think Ricky James is a great steal, so I don't want to take him out there.
Okay, but we need to find a running back that we can have for 4,500.
Why? Oh, it's making us fill the slot.
We have to fill the slot.
Oh, well, then we got to take Kittle back out.
You can take Kittle out, and that gives you 4,350. Okay, so buy the running back first. Buy Ahmed first. Because he's or buy the lowest ranking running back you can buy. Just buy whoever you can buy at the lowest point.
Well, we'll get someone who actually has a chance. So.
Well, no, because there's no tight end for 37.
So I'm going to take Zaire White, who's the third string one.
Take Justin Jefferson out. No, keep Justin Jefferson in.
All right, so that's the cheapest running back we can buy there, Bob. We have 42 left.
Zaquandrius White hasn't played it down. I don't even know who the hell he is.
The point that was the point was this right, got Jefferson.
I mean, I don't even know if he's playing. So, all right, what's the tight end options here? What's the price point? Because I don't know if you can punt on two positions.
I don't think I can. I got to take Diggs out.
Okay.
I got to take Diggs out.
It's
just a fun.
Wait a minute. Okay. You love. All right. What's the lowest quarterback beyond Tom Brady? I know we started this whole thing with Tom Brady.
We did start this whole thing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady looks to be the lowest starter. Already. Okay. All right. Can you put Justin Jefferson in the wide receiver spot and not in the flex spot? Sure. Which one am I taking out?
Can you put Justin Jefferson in the Richie James's spot for a moment? Just so we can like realistically see with our eyes something. Okay. So now we have go up 5,150 to play with two players.
No, we got 5,000 for three players because that James thing ain't working.
5,000 for three players. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So go to flex. Now you can realistically put Ahmed in because he is the direct backup to Jeff Wilson.
Let's just get to the list again. We'll look at all of them so we don't. So Ahmed's there.
Now, out of these, you don't want to take. Okay, so JaMychal Hasty is another interesting option because JaMychal Hasty has stolen Travis Etienne's touchdown, I believe, 2 weeks in a row.
Has he now? He took it 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not exactly sexy.
He's the clear backup. Now, Matt Breida is the backup to Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm. 7 points in this play is not the worst thing in the world.
No.
He got 8 targets last week against Philly.
That is true.
Granted, it was the game where they benched everyone, though. Saquon was benched.
Yeah,
so that's kind of an aberration. But the week before it, he did get 9 carries.
Okay. I mean, that's an interesting option. Okay, let's go through another option. All right. So you keep going down. You know. Okay.
Do you get credit for the kick returns?
I believe you might. Yes, you
No,
did.
he only had 12 points. They didn't give him credit. Well, they had to. He did nothing else. Yeah, they give him credit for him.
Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting option at 47. And you keep going down. I mean, Xander Horvath earlier in the season had something. You know, Kyle Juszczyk may fall.
Dude, I think Hines is the answer.
I mean, he sees the field.
Yeah.
At least in a prominent position where he could get a touchdown.
He also, it wouldn't be unsightly to get him in there as a third down back and get him some catches. That was his role at Indy. And he's had a great passing game to get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's an option. It definitely is an option.
I think it's actually the best one we have. And that gives us 5,000 for our tight end or flex.
Okay, so
we're going to have to fly through the third lineup here, Bob. We're going to have to go much more conventional in the third one to go fast. But
that's okay. We're trying things.
I don't mind Hurst or Likely.
So I'm interested in Colby Parkinson. Colby Parkinson at 47. Still allows you to play Richie James, I believe. Colby Parkinson is the tight end.
Well, here, let's put James back in, and then or the flex. Let's put James back in, and then make sure we're right.
No, we're not. Ugh. We're not right.
Yeah, we're going to go cheaper than James. That's all right. We'll figure out something cheaper than James.
Now we're sold. We're sold on Diggs. We're sold on McCaffrey. Correct?
Yes. So what we could do here is at this point of we need a 5,051. We could go Hurst and Fant. And
Fant sees the ball.
So does Hurst. Like they're on the field, they're in the red zone. They're not the happiest of targets because they're playing the whole 50 yards and maybe it works out situation. I'm just saying.
I mean, it's totally up to you what you want to do with that. I'm just providing you with an alternate option because, I mean, like, it's interesting. I mean, the question is, this is the ultimate question. Will the combination of Christian McCaffrey, Mike Evans, Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, and Tom Brady outscore every other possible lineup? And it's perfectly possible that they do.
We're rolling the dice. It can't be Hurst and Fant, so I think it's going to have to be Likely because we're going to need a 5,000 here.
You could go. I mean, click on Parkinson for a moment because I'm just spitballing here. Cade Otton has also seen the ball from Tom Brady as well. I mean, Noah Fant, Colby Parkinson, they're interchangeable. They come on and off the field. It is a question mark. If you click on Cade,
7 targets 2 weeks ago.
Click on Cade Otton from Tampa Bay. Cade Otton from Tampa Bay is another option. Last week he didn't do anything. I mean,
he hasn't done anything for a couple of weeks.
Cameron Brate might be back. That's the question.
Bellinger's a guy I like because when he was healthy, he was good, but
he has a big neck, so
that he does. I think I'm going Hurst and Likely.
But is Hurst at 5,100 a better option than Colby Parkinson at 4,700 is the question.
Well, that would be a difference of 400. So let's see who our options would be about what we're going with there. Because I think Hurst overall is a better player. So it would be 5,400 range. We'd be looking at players from the Drake, Gage. None of those guys are appealing to me. Yeah, I still think I would go with Likely over all of these.
Okay.
Except for maybe Fant. But even to that point, I'd rather go with a pass catcher who's I know is going to be on the field a lot. So
all right, send it, ship it. Let's see what happens. We've never done that before.
We've never done that. That was 4 studs. I mean, that is Evans, Jefferson, Diggs, and McCaffrey.
They're all likely to score 20-plus points. So
yeah. Same with Brady. I mean, Brady is priced wrong. So we got to fly through this one, Bob. We only got 5 minutes. Going through everything we just talked, I want to start with Brady.
Start with Brady. He's the cheapest, best option at that point in time.
Yep. Defense-wise, I think we were under agreement that Seattle's not a bad call. Or the Ravens. Which one do you want to go with?
Ravens. Either one.
All right, we'll save the money. We'll go with Seattle.
Give you a better play. All right, tight end. Tight end, there was a lot of options. There was a lot of things happening there. We haven't put Hawk in a lineup. I'm interested in the Hawk. I'm also interested in the middle. We'll see what happens with that.
We'll start with the Hawk. He seems likely.
All right. So running back.
We didn't touch Saquon yet. Or, of course, we didn't touch Eckler yet.
We haven't touched Eckler yet. We haven't touched Saquon yet. The thing about the Jags defense is they're fast. So
they are. Thing about the Vikings defense is they're not.
Eckler's, if you go to Saquon's stats, the last game that they played, I believe he had 80 yards and a touchdown. That is a sufficient amount of points for a fantasy week.
He put up 23 against them. Boom.
Plus he's catching the ball. So bam.
Yeah.
In the lineup. Another running back. Again, Chargers defense isn't good. Travis Etienne, if they're winning that game, the ball is going through them. That is another solid play, solid option.
No doubt.
Richie James has to be in this lineup because he is cheap. He is priced right.
It's actually priced wrong. That's why he works.
He's priced right for the lineup.
But James Washington's on the Giants now? Did Dallas cut him?
Yeah.
Huh.
So going to another wide receiver here. We don't want anybody else on the Giants. It's really curious. How much money do we have left per player? What's the average? 6,697.
69, 69, but basically 7.
Okay, so we haven't played with Godwin yet. We have not played with Godwin yet. He's cheaper, by 500.
Mm-hmm.
So that click on him, see how much love he got in the game where Evans went off, because I believe that was like a just a travesty of a game anyway.
No, he still put up. That was against Carolina. He still put up 18 or 16.
So if Tom Brady, if they're winning that game's going to go crazy.
And they're not running it, so
it's a solid option. Now go.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Now go down in the wide receivers a little bit more. We want to even this out. Now, is Deebo Samuel playing? That's the question that I have. If he's playing and healthy.
Played last week.
He played last week, but he wasn't healthy last week to a degree. Earlier in the season, go to earlier in the season, Deebo. I'm just curious what this stat sheet looks like. He's an average player in these stats. He's not going to blow you out of the water. He's probably not going to win you anything, so I'm not going to take him. But the price is sexy. The price is
intriguing.
Zay Jones's price is also sexy in the position that we're in at that price point. Will that be a game where he goes off? And this is also an opportunity if you really like Gabe Davis,
which I do. All right, let's put Gabe Davis
No
in
limit.
there, and then just go to town on the flex.
I don't know how much town we're going to.
Yeah, we're not. Well, we got Christian Kirk, who, Christian Kirk can control a game. I mean,
Put him in.
I like Kirk.
3 seconds left. 2, 1. There you go. Lock it in.
Boom.
Lock it in.
Well, awesome, guys. That was our 3 lineups. Let's look at them real quick here. First lineup that we made. Whoop. I didn't click lock it in on the first lineup. My bad, guys. First lineup that we made. Jones, Wilson, Walker, Evans, James, Jeff, Ingram, Kittle, and the Ravens. Left 200 on the table. There's not really a lot that I want to change there. That one, Kenneth Walker at 66. I'm surprised we didn't put him in more lineups. He could go huge. That's a decent lineup, Bob. Not going to hate on it. This one has blown my mind away.
I mean, it's a little. It's
got 3 duds and 4 studs. This is living like the LA Rams. We are all or nothing, baby.
I mean, here's the thing: if it likely catches a touchdown, and if Hayden Hurst catches a touchdown, this lineup does suck. That's the problem.
There is no problem with that. I think there's a possibility that both of them catch a touchdown. If Naheem Hines literally gets on the field as a regular offensive player, I think that wins.
I mean, the only thing that screws you is if Diggs goes off and doesn't do anything like he did a couple of weeks ago. So, I mean,
I don't think there's a chance of that. This playoffs, Diggs is coming out. Your best come out to play in the playoffs, and that's where I think that the Brady connection really does go off. So, I think these are good, Bob. Glad that we made them the way that we did, and I think it's going to be a solid week here.
Lock it up.
Any final thoughts going into to the wild card weekend?
Final thoughts. I hate myself. Giants are great. Let's see what happens with that. I hate for saying that. Our guest a couple weeks ago, Giants guest, we were talking to him about the franchise, and he's all, we're all on the Dable train. Dable's got them into the playoffs. I mean, they were an average team most of the season. Let's see what happens. I'm also not completely writing off Seattle. I really am not. I think that the Niners win that game. Mm-hmm. Like I said earlier, if Seattle is going to have a chance, they can't be blown out early. They're not going to be blown out early. They got to get.
I think it's one of these games that Seattle's never really in control, but they're never really out of it. San Francisco just slowly steals your soul. I don't see it being one of these games where McCaffrey's ripping off, 3 50-yard runs and it's over. I think it just stays tight. They're divisional games; they're always tight.
I'm also not interested in the Buffalo game at all.
That's because you've already foregone that Miami will get destroyed.
I mean, I don't see it in any realm of if in fact Miami with Teddy Bridgewater or with Skylar Thompson beats Buffalo, everybody's head will spin.
That's not even real. Teddy Bridgewater might. Skylar Thompson ain't.
The narrative will go, well, maybe Josh Allen isn't what we thought he was.
Or maybe Josh Allen drops 450 and everyone's like, maybe this McDaniels guy is as smart as we think he is.
I don't think that. Yeah, I mean, there's no chance that they lose that game. I mean, like I said earlier in the week, I think they win by 20. I think they win by 30 actually. Just unless Buffalo feels like they need to rest. That's the only reason I feel like maybe they're not going to put up 30 on this team.
And there's also, if you're up by that much in the second half, there's also no reason not to, take the foot off the gas. So that being said, I do think the best game of the weekend, the hardest one for me to call, is that Minnesota Giants game. I think it's going to be fantastic. We went through all this with the betting one. So rather than rehashing all the bettings here, I think it's going to be a great weekend, Bob. I think it's going to be a great weekend.
Yeah, just And if you want to know what our thoughts are on the games themselves, just go back, watch the episode, and show us some love.
See you guys. Have a good one.
Deuces.